Hi, you guys. It's Jane. How are you doing? If you don't know me, I'm over at Surface Anthology and Chalk Mercantile. And I want to talk to you today about tools. I had someone ask me about what tools I use, and she has concerns because she keeps ruining brushes. So I'm going to go over with you my philosophy about tools and what the tools are that I use every single day. I'm painting today, and this is what I'm using. Before I get started, I wanted to let you guys know that the Surface Anthology membership is open. So if you're a painter, a decorative painter, or somebody who wants to really get into decorative painting, meaning furniture, walls, doors, floors, you name it, the Surface Anthology membership is the place to be. We're going to dive deep. We dive deep into paint finishes every single month. We have a private Facebook group. One of the great perks is you get 20% off in my shop, Chalk Mercantile, all the time on all the products. And you get the support of the other painters in the group. And I'm super passionate about painting. I could be a little bit opinionated, but you know, who's not, right? All right, you guys, let's get into tools. So many years ago, I went to art school, and frankly, even before that, my mother gave me a hard time about always liking the best quality, the best I could get. And I by no means grew up wealthy, but it was just something that was instilled in me, mostly by my father. And frankly, that's the kind of old Yankee thriftiness. If you buy an inferior brush, you're going to be replacing that brush at least once a year for the rest of your life. If you buy a really good brush, it will probably last you the rest of your life. And I have to tell you, I've got watercolor brushes from art school, and I put myself through art school. I paid my own tuition, and I did save my money and buy these Sable watercolor brushes that I still have. And I was a makeup artist for many years, and I cut hair. And again, I still have my really beautiful makeup brushes that I used for weddings, for everything. And these are over 30 years old, and they're beautiful. So that's the way I feel about it. You're going to pay now or you're going to pay later. So if you're into painting, get the best tools that you can, and they will last you. You're only as good as your tools. Well, and that kind of, you also need to learn the techniques. They'll support you, but they're not going to do all the work for you. So my favorite brushes for painting with chalk paint, we'll start there, are these Dutch brushes. These are Authentico brushes, and they're handmade. They're beautiful. These are synthetic bristles. I do not use natural bristle brushes when I'm using chalk paint. That's really a preference. I don't want a lot of texture when I'm painting with chalk paint, though I love to see the brush strokes. I'm not trying to recreate, Crate and Barrel or Pottery Barn. I want something that's an heirloom, beautiful finish. So I love to see those brush strokes in there. This is one I use a lot. It is a 35 millimeter round brush. And you can see one of the telltale signs of a bad brush is that when you hold it up, you get splaying bristles going in all different directions. You're not going to see that with the Authentico brushes or any really good handmade brush. And that's why I love this brush. I've used it I've had this for years, over and over again, and it just is fabulous. And then, so this is the round brush, and then I use these a lot. They're flat brush, right? So these are flat brushes. This is the 1 inch, but a really good size to have is a 2 inch. So imagine these two together, and I don't have my 2 inch with me today, but a 2 inch flat brush is fabulous. And again, I use synthetic bristles when I'm using chalk paint. So that's what I use. That's what I love. A tip for when you start painting is always wet your brushes first. So dip them in your clean water, blot them off, and then go into your paint. That way you won't get a lot of buildup up in the ferrule of the brush and they'll last longer. Also, what I use, because everybody asks me, well, how do you clean your brushes? I use scrubby soap. And as you can see, this one's being used, but I really do use scrubby soap. They're always by my sink, and they are the best for getting rid of any built up paint and keeping your brushes in really good shape. And I also use it on my wax brushes, so that's what I use. And of course, you wash your brushes and then hang them to dry so that the water goes down. So I use the Authentico synthetic bristle brushes for painting. Another good brush you can get, and I don't know if they're everywhere, are Corona. Those you can buy at your, hopefully your local hardware store. And they're still made in the USA, I think. Purdy used to be a really, really good brush. And before I found out about these brushes, I would buy Purdy brushes. And when they were made in the United States, they were absolutely beautiful brushes. And then something happened and I bought a Purdy and it splayed. Like the bristles just blew out, and there's nothing worse than dipping your brush in and you've got that little bristle coming out and dragging paint where you don't want it. So check out the Corona brushes. And again, a 2-inch flat brush is a really good brush for painting. I don't think they're not going to have this kind of a brush, the round. Now for when I'm working with milk paint, and if you are a member of the Surface Anthology membership, you'll see me using these, or if you've seen any of my videos, I use Amy Howard at Home's natural bristle brushes. And these are kind of glorified chip brushes, but they're really good. They're natural bristle, and I know I said I don't use them when I'm working with chalk paint, but I use them a lot when I'm working with milk paint, because when I'm working with milk paint, I'm really interested in creating a lot of texture, and that's what I could get with a natural bristle brush. These brushes, the ones that are used, I've had for years and years, and they last. Natural bristle brushes, I don't care what manufacturer they are, they always lose bristles. That's just the way it is. So get used to that if you use them. I will not use these with chalk paint, again, unless I'm trying to create a lot of texture, but they're great for milk paint. And this is what they look like new. And they're very thick, so don't try to use a chip brush in place of these. And these are inexpensive. I sell them on my site. But the thickness is what is so great about these. And if I'm really trying to create a lot of texture, I'll even go in and cut into the bristles to get texture like that way, to really increase it. And I will also use these when I'm waxing with colored wax. Not clear wax, but when I'm creating a colored wax finish and I want texture, this is what I use. All right. For my regular waxing, I call it the Beast. This is what I use. I've had this one for years, and I mark, this is a C for clear. I mark them. I have a few of these, and I'll mark them, clear, brown, anthracite, blue. I have a million different colors of wax. But this wax brush is when I'm putting on a smooth finish on a finished piece. This is what I use. It emulsifies into the wax, or emulsifies the wax, and you just can put a lot of wax on really quickly and really smoothly. I love, love, love these brushes. And since we're talking about tools, when I'm waxing, I don't, dip my brush into the can of wax. I will actually scoop some out with my favorite tongue depressors, put it on a palette, and that's where I work from. Try to get into that habit, and that way you won't contaminate your wax with bits of dirt that you might pick up, dust, whatever. You don't want that in your wax. So that's what I use for waxing. And yes, I use the scrubby to also clean my wax brush. Now for taping, and I do a lot of taping, I use frog tape. Though recently, I did use the blue tape, and I forgot who, I think it was Duck Brand, and they might actually be the same brand, I'm not sure. But when I'm, I don't want to mess around, I don't want to pull paint up, I just use frog tape, and I use the green one. I actually tried the yellow one once, and I didn't like it. So frog tape is my go-to tape. For sanding, I use a sanding block. And where's my favorite one? I probably have seen this in a video, one that my dogs got a hold of, but I love to use softer sanding blocks after they've been used a lot to maybe reveal layered paint, stuff like that. You have to be careful because color does get in between the grit and it could get transferred. But I use a sanding block. I just find that it helps me to keep things level. And sandpaper, like I sometimes will even see my finger marks, where there's more pressure. So this helps with even pressure. Here's a new one. And this one's by Dolphin. I don't know. I love them. All right. For blending, creating different kinds of effects, I use sea sponges. These I've had for over 10 years. They're like little makeup sponges. And I do have the really, really big ones for when I'm doing a wall or door or a large piece of furniture. And I clean them with the scrubby. I'll just tap it on there, rinse them out. But these are the best. You guys should, if you haven't tried it, using a sea sponge to blend in stuff, these are fabulous. They create such a nice look, and they're very, very versatile. For blending and everything, you won't see me use a lot of plastic. I like something that's heavy. So when I go to Goodwill, and I know you guys are all out there going to these places, you get such great stuff. I pick up these little custard cups, and these are by Fire King. I've had them for years, and they're great for mixing up paint. Don't work out of your can of paint. You don't want to, again, put stuff into that paint because you might not use it, and you'll just be making a big mess. You could pour some out in one of these, blend in these, and they are the best. And this is my big stack that I keep by me. And it keeps plastic out of the landfill. And the other thing is, when you're using a plastic bowl or something, they're very light. So you go to dip your brush in and it's hopping around, and that's just not my thing. For buffing, I have this, and I'm sure you guys have seen me use it. It's a Jack Richson natural bristle buffing brush. And I'll use this on medium value to dark colored pieces. I don't use it on white pieces because these are dyed with something. And I started working on a white piece, and all of a sudden I see brown in my wax, and it was from the bristles. So be really careful about that too. But I love this brush for medium, again, to darker value projects. It's fantastic. Oh, and what I wanted to tell you, for just everyday, buffing, don't throw out your old t-shirts, old white t-shirts. Those are fantastic. And the reason I say old is we don't want lint from a new t-shirt or a new buffing cloth to get embedded into the wax. It will create a haze over your whole piece. So old white t-shirts are fabulous for buffing furniture. So give those a try. I think that is it. If you guys have any questions about tools, anything like that, if you're getting a gift for a painter, oh my God, get them a brush, get them a scrubby, and get them a wax brush. And that is like a gift they would be over the moon about. And maybe even like little samples of paint or something. How fantastic a gift would that be for a creative? So that's it, you guys. What I use for my tools. And you can find a lot of this at chalkmercantile.com. I do sell the brushes and the Autentico brushes and the Amy Howard brushes. And remember, if you are a painter who wants to really up your game in 2022, join the Surface Anthology membership. I think I've already got at least 12 projects that once you are a member, you'll also be able to see all the other workshops and take them. So go to surfaceanthology.com and just click on the membership to join. All right, you guys, thanks so much for watching. Again, if you have questions about tools or anything else, feel free to ask in the comments. I'll see you soon, and happy painting.